The streets of Greenwich were quiet that evening, the kind of calm that made routine patrols feel almost unnecessary. Inside a parked cruiser near a dimly lit intersection, Officer Ben Torres took a slow sip of his lukewarm coffee while his younger partner, Officer Alex Rohr, tapped his fingers anxiously against the dashboard. Alex was still fresh from the academy, carrying an eagerness that Ben had long lost. Where Alex saw duty, Ben saw routine. Years on the force had hardened him, made him trust instinct over facts. That instinct kicked in when a midnight blue sedan cruised past. Something about it, a gut feeling, a flicker of suspicion, made Ben sit up. "Flag that car," Ben muttered, placing his coffee down. "Something doesn't sit right." Alex hesitated, his fingers hovering over the dash controls. "Did he do something?" Ben didn't answer right away. He didn't need to. Experience had taught him that instinct was enough. The lights flashed. The siren whooped. The sedan slowed, then pulled over to the side of the road. Neither officer knew yet, but inside that car sat Samuel Parks, the chief inspector of internal affairs. A man whose name carried weight. A man who had spent years holding officers like them accountable. Samuel Parks rolled down his window calmly, deliberately. He had been in situations like this before, not as a suspect, but as the man people answered to when these encounters went wrong. His voice was steady as he greeted them. "Evening, officers." Ben took the lead, his stance firm, his eyes unreadable. "License and registration," he said bluntly, making no effort at small talk. Samuel handed over his documents without hesitation. He had nothing to hide. Ben's eyes flicked to the name on the license. Then, for the briefest moment, his fingers tightened around the paper. Alex peeked over his shoulder, and his breath hitched. He recognized the name immediately. Samuel Parks, the man responsible for disciplinary actions, investigations, and even terminations. Alex shifted uncomfortably, his gut telling him this was already spiraling in the wrong direction. Ben, however, refused to let doubt take root. "Were you aware you were going a little fast back there?" he pressed, even though he knew there hadn't been an actual infraction. Samuel met his gaze. His voice remained steady. "No, officer, I wasn't. Is there an issue here?" The tension thickened. Alex's pulse quickened. He could feel where this was heading, and it made his stomach turn. But Ben? Ben doubled down. "A routine search might clear things up, just to be sure." Samuel exhaled slowly. "By all means," he said. But then his gaze sharpened. "I trust you're familiar with protocol?" Ben's jaw tightened, because he was, and he also knew he was already breaking it. Samuel stepped out of the car without resistance. His movements were controlled, his demeanor unreadable. Alex stayed near the cruiser, his stomach in knots as he watched Ben methodically search through the vehicle. The seconds stretched, then minutes. Ben searched the glove compartment. Nothing. He checked under the seats. Nothing. He moved to the back seat. Still. Nothing. Samuel stood silently, watching. Unshaken. Unmoved. Then Ben muttered under his breath, "Let's check the trunk." Alex tensed. He wanted to intervene, to stop this before it got worse. "Ben?" "Trunk," Ben repeated, his pride outweighing reason. Samuel said nothing. He simply walked to the back of the car, opened the trunk, and stepped aside. Inside, there was nothing but a first aid kit and a neatly folded uniform. Ben stared at it, his jaw clenching, because he had lost, and he knew it. Samuel watched Ben closely, his sharp eyes taking in every flicker of frustration, every unspoken regret. Then, slowly, Samuel reached into his coat pocket. Alex stiffened, but Samuel didn't pull out a weapon. Instead, he withdrew his badge. The gold shield caught the streetlights, gleaming as he held it up. "Chief Inspector, Internal Affairs." A silence thicker than the night air settled between them. Ben didn't move. His breathing had become shallow, uneven. Alex, frozen in place, could feel the weight of the mistake crushing down on them. I hope this encounter has been enlightening, Samuel finally said, his voice laced with something that wasn't quite anger. It was disappointment. Ben didn't answer. Couldn't answer. Alex, trying to salvage what was left of their professionalism, cleared his throat. Sir, this was a misunderstanding. We meant no harm. Samuel's gaze softened, but just slightly. You're still learning, he said to Alex. That's commendable. Then he turned to Ben. But you should know better. Ben averted his eyes. Samuel stepped closer, his voice quiet but firm. Misuse of authority, no matter how small, is never just routine procedure. The words landed like a gavel. Ben felt his stomach turn. He had spent years trusting his instincts, following his gut, but tonight, his gut had led him into a mistake he might not recover from. As Samuel drove away, the silence in the patrol car was deafening. Alex finally turned to Ben, searching for some kind of answer. What just happened? He asked. Ben exhaled, his shoulders sagging, as if the weight of his career had suddenly doubled. His voice was quiet when he finally spoke. A reminder. Alex frowned. A reminder of what? Ben glanced at his own badge, the same one he had worn for years, the one that had made him feel untouchable. But now it just felt heavy. That experience isn't enough if it blinds you to reason. Alex nodded slowly, the lesson settling deep in his bones. That night, 2 officers learned what it truly meant to wear the badge. For one, it was a painful reckoning. For the other, it was a lesson that would shape him forever. And for Samuel Parks, it was just another night spent reminding those in power that, sooner or later, someone is always watching.